the stories about Kagame and so on are originating from Europe. But what is it that didn't originate from Europe about this story or about this problem? If you look at the whole history and the old history, but even the recent history, you have had Europe always in the mix of things in and between our countries, and even to do with the crisis we have in Eastern Congo or the region.
Hey, call me Louis. This is my spot. LuiSpot.
You cannot talk about just crisis or humanitarian crisis without highlighting the root cause of that. And people have always avoided bringing up matters to do with the root cause, because in the end it exposes people like that. So there is always a way to shape things in a manner that there is effort to protect themselves, the people I'm talking about. And is it a new crisis in Eastern Congo or in Goma or around Goma? You remember this crisis, I have said this before, and you have heard it even from other people, or you know it yourselves. This crisis was there 2012, came back 10 years later. Why can't people try to understand? What is it? How can you have a problem 2012 and 10 years later you have a repeat of the same problem? It means, but yet, for those 10 years, we had this international presence. And many years before that, supposedly to address these problems. So much money spent, so many people involved, people losing their lives in big numbers, refugees, people displaced, and but life goes on like that until we are revisited by the same problem, and then we start running around like this is a new thing. I mean, the amount of hypocrisy and even double standards and real insensitivity of some of these powers that we know, who are associated with the cause of these problems, or who accompany the crisis in a way they have chosen, and in the end they are the ones making so much noise about, they look like they are really hurt by the suffering of people. These are people touched and offended by people suffering. But this is just trash of pretense. If you are like that, you have heard people talk about values, you see our values, blah, 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 but it's a lot of nonsense. If you have the power of everything, whether political, money, or whatever, and then every day you're talking about values and so on and so forth, and even want to teach others how to respect values, yet you are the cause of the suffering, and you are the cause of the perpetration of that. What kind of pretense is this? And you can't just, so when you see these people, coming out with a lot of anger on this and talking about, you see us, you've made a mistake, we are going to do this. In the end, all they are doing is adding more suffering to the suffering that is already there. It's not actually addressing any problem.
Another side of the whole story that has been kept repeated, especially now it's still alive in Europe. It's about the looting of minerals and all that. I mean...
Again, that is nonsense.
Exactly.
They looted minerals better than anybody, worse than anybody I know of in history. So would you even listen to that? Minerals? Minerals, they sell minerals in, what is it? In Antwerp, where is?
Antwerp. Diamonds.
Diamonds.
But there are no
Do they produce diamonds? Or they have gold, bullions they took long ago and they are adding more? Do they have a lot of gold? Do they have gold mines? These Europeans? They take it, okay. To make their case even simpler or less than it is, they may even say, no, but the gold or the diamonds or whatever we have is brought by legitimate people, okay? Would you believe that? But that legitimate, when they are there, they are the legitimate ones. So, but this whole thing, why do you think, by the way, there is something to do with there is an MOU actually we're supposed to be having with Europe, which involves, I think, and a lot has been worked on about traceability and so on and so forth, okay? Rwanda got involved in that and passed every stage and standard that was expected on that. Now, what is funny and contradictory is, at some point, then DRC goes to Europe and says, no, don't sign anything with, but how do you not sign anything that was supposed to be transparent and show where the minerals are coming from or who is involved? So on one hand, you want to be clear that there is nothing except that Congolese always passed through here, and some sold it here to Rwandans who went and sold it to somebody else. Others, they said it through Burundi, through Uganda, through the neighbors. But it is only Rwanda that was picked on about minerals. Simply because, I think with the audience back home in Europe, they listen more to these accusations. The more they hear of them, then the more questions they raise about Rwanda. Whether what they are saying is happening or has happened or not. So, minerals, really think, okay, FDLR, that actually at some point was in control of Goma, or the surroundings of Goma. Why are they found to be innocent in the whole equation? And yet every day we point out things to do with FDLR. But they are not interested. They say, no, they are few, they are... Well, if they think they are few, they should come here. We will take... we give them face-to-face conversation with those that have been brought from Eastern Congo recently. They will tell them the stories. But do you think they even want to do that? Haven't some of you journalists, maybe, I hope you're also not selective about what you want to know. Haven't you asked to go and meet these people who have been brought from Congo, the FDLR, to tell you their stories that show you how they are so embedded and intertwined with the Congolese forces and other systems of government? So that plays behind the scenes role, and you don't see it at the forefront being talked about. In fact, some of these FDLR have been doing mining in Eastern Congo. Where do they take their minerals? Maybe those are the minerals that end up in Europe, but they would rather hold Rwanda responsible based on the stories around minerals. What sense does it make? You know, don't... sometimes we overrate people. We overrate them in a sense. We think they have, when it has been said by Europeans or by this, then it must be true. But these are the things they get involved in.